Hi, thanks for watching. This video was originally a Facebook Live video that was presented in my Facebook group, Stone Family Farmstead Community. If you'd like to catch these videos in real time on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. PST, you can do that by going to stonefamilyfarmstead.com/community and joining the group. If you'd prefer to just watch the edited versions of these videos here on YouTube, go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button and you should get the updates each week. Thanks a lot. Okay, so welcome to this week's Stone Family Farmstead Community Facebook Live that we have every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And this week we are on our 10th Facebook Live, 10 of these. I'm just super happy to be able to do this every week and happy that you guys are here. And so this week we're going to be talking about using all the harvest. So after you've already done all your processing of all the harvest that you've done, what do you do with all the scraps? And I like to try to find one more reason to use them before they go to the compost pile. So I don't know, I'm just cheap that way, but that's what I like. Last week we talked about growing rosemary, and if you want to catch that Facebook Live that we did in its entirety, you can go to Facebook, the group, and to the video section and find it there, or you can go to my YouTube channel at stonefamilyfarmstead.com/YouTube and catch the edited version, which I think is better, and you can catch that there. So today I'm going to be talking about strawberries, peaches, carrots, tomatoes, and mint. So these are ones that I use often, or that I've used this year and had some success with using the scraps afterward. And so I don't have a whole ton of ideas for some of them, but I have some really, really good ones that are working really well for me. So anyway, let's get started. So strawberries, obviously this is the height of strawberry season right now, and so they're at a really good price and they taste really good right now. And so when those two things are in play, you know, good price, tastes good, I usually will end up buying like 12 pints of them. I bring them home and we like mac out on all the strawberries, and then after about 3 days they're starting to get a little bit soft, so I got to figure out what to do quick. Often what I do is I will just lop off like maybe the top quarter or fifth of the strawberry and just flash freeze them on a cookie sheet, all separate, and then put them all in a bag and save them for something else later. And so the other thing that I like to do is if I have about 4 pounds, and that would be roughly about 4 pints, I might make a gallon of strawberry wine. And so that is like my very favorite wine to make at home. And Todd and I love it, and so, you know, that's always a really good way to make it. And if you want a recipe for that, I have one on my blog, How to Make Strawberry Wine, I think it's called, step by step. And you can find that recipe there if you want to try your hand at it. This is a recipe, this is a wine I made last year, or no, 2017. So 2 summers ago, and it's called Melonberry, and it needs a little more straining, but at any rate, good wine. So we're going to crack that one open. I can feel it within the next couple days. So anyway, so once you use all your strawberries up, and wait, I didn't tell you what you can use them for. You can eat them raw, of course. I love them on salads. They are killer on a salad, like a spinach salad with cheese and like almonds, crushed almonds or pepitas, and a vinaigrette dressing. So good. It's my favorite salad. You can also freeze them, like I mentioned before. You can freeze them whole or halved, whatever way you want. You can can them. You can can them like in jams and preserves. You can can them whole. You can make a syrup out of them and can that. You can dehydrate them in slices. You can mix them with other fruit or just do it alone in fruit leather, but consult the Ball Blue book for that, because I think you have to add some sugar or something, maybe, or maybe blend with a banana or something like that. But at any rate, you can make fruit leather. My family loves that. And when you're all done processing those, what you can use those tops for. And remember that I'm not talking about just like using a tool like this and digging out the small part that has like the stem on it. I actually just lop off the top quarter or whatever, because I know I'm going to use them for something. But you can make this awesome strawberry syrup with it. And so I wish I could refer you to the book that I got this recipe from. It's really a cool book, ebook. It's not on the market anymore, but it was by a woman who just really had to stretch her dollars like so far and figured out how to make this really awesome strawberry syrup. But thankfully, I was able to get the recipe on my blog a few years ago by her permission. And the strawberry syrup made from strawberry tops post is on my blog, and so you can make that today if you have some strawberry tops. You can also make them with whole strawberries, and that's fine too. And you make it just by macerating overnight in sugar and lemon juice, blending up, straining, and then you have this awesome strawberry syrup that you can use to sweeten lemonade, like as part of the sweetener. So when I make lemonade, we have Meyer lemons, and I use 2 cups of lemon juice, a cup of sugar, and then a half gallon of water. So instead of using a whole cup of sugar, I would cut back some on the sugar and add however much strawberry syrup made it taste good. So my kids used to do that all the time, but because they're watching their figures, they're older now, and so they're not doing as much sugar as before, they are not drinking it, but it's really a great way to make some homemade lemonade. So Heidi says, you can make fruit vinegars. Yeah, I'm getting to that. I'm totally getting to that. But yeah, actually for strawberries, you can totally make the fruit vinegar. I'm going to cover that with the peaches, but yeah, just know that you can make the fruit vinegar as well. And so I want to try that. Let's see. Let's go on to peaches. And obviously with peaches, well, let me tell you a little bit about my peach tree this year. So we planted this peach tree probably 3 or 4 years ago and really haven't had a whole lot of yield from it at all. And last year I decided to go ahead and fertilize it around the water line there with some of the goat poop and the hay that came out of their pen. And I did that in the fall so that it would all break down and feed the tree. And we were rewarded very well for that. And so I don't know if it was just that it was the 3rd or 4th year that the peach tree was in, or it was the fertilization, probably a little of both, but we got a whole bunch of really beautiful peaches this year. And so this year, Todd and I were wondering, what are we going to do with these peaches? Because we really don't eat jams, and that's really kind of the go-to, isn't it? You know, if you don't know a lot of recipes, or you don't really grow a lot of fruit, and you're trying to figure it out. I mean, I knew I could do wine, or I could do, I can can them halved. I could make syrup out of it, all that kind of stuff and everything, but we really just don't eat a lot of sugar. So we were trying to figure out what to do. And I was looking around in my my Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving, because these recipes, this is different than the Ball Blue Book. These are like different recipes that you wouldn't find. They're not standard recipes, but they're like, recipes that have been developed that have a little more oomph, a little more interesting of recipes. So I was looking at it, and I was thinking to myself, I turned to the page that had like a peach barbecue sauce recipe, and I was like, wow, that seems good. And all of a sudden Todd says, how about barbecue sauce? So I just knew that was what we were doing with our peaches. So for the first harvest of our peaches, we made this really wonderful barbecue sauce that's really kind of a sweet, now I wouldn't say a sweet and sour, but like a sweet and tangy kind of sauce. And it doesn't have like that smoky barbecue sauce flavor, but when I opened it, I went ahead and added some liquid smoke to it, which gave it that really yummy, smoky flavor. And so it's actually really just perfect like that. But I don't suggest putting in the liquid smoke before canning it, because canning recipes are really kind of scientific, and you don't really want to change them from an already approved recipe, because you can kind of mess it up and all that, and it's just a safety issue. So anyway, so we made that, and I got about 8 pints of that, but we had one more harvest, and so I'm going to make fruit leather out of that. But I ended up with the pits and peels, okay? So the pits and the peels ended up getting used, just like Heidi had mentioned before, to make vinegar. And I made about 2 gallons of vinegar before, and that is now been strained and bottled, and it's on the shelf. And this is really just only a fraction of what I got. I got about 2 gallons, a little less than 2 gallons probably after the straining, but it's now on the shelf, and I believe it is acidic enough. It's over 5% acidity, but I'm going to check it again later. And so if you if you make vinegar and you want to know that, you just check it with pH strips, and you can figure out whether you can use it in those recipes that need 5% acidity. And so for the batch that I made the fruit leather, here's some more brewing vinegar, and this is again pits and peels, and you know, I'll get about just a little bit less than a quart here. And that recipe, Heidi, if you want to post that recipe from your blog, that's the one I used. It was really easy to do, and so yeah, you guys make it. And again, you know, I want to mention what Heidi said. You know, you can also do that with strawberry tops. I haven't done that before, and so I don't know why. I guess that's probably why I didn't mention it. But you know, really any fruit you can make fruit vinegars with. So make sure to head over to that article on Heidi's blog and see what all you can do with leftover fruit scraps. So moving on from fruit, let's talk about some vegetables. So carrots and tomatoes we're going to talk about, and we'll start with carrots. Here are a few little bitty carrots that I just harvested the other day. I usually plant like Scarlet Nantes or, you know, Danvers half-long carrots, and then I just harvested these as babies pretty much because I had planted some potatoes in there, and those were sprouting, and I need to now put in more dirt. So I had these, and I thought I would show you guys all these tops of the carrots. How many times have you cut these off, right, and just thrown them away? Usually we just use the orange part, right? Okay, unless you have rabbits, like I used to. My rabbit passed just last week. I believe it was last week or the week before, and so now I don't have any animals to feed the tops to unless I want to feed them to my goats, which is totally fine. So if you want to feed your carrot tops to your animals, you totally can do that. You just want to make sure that you're not giving them to any animals that have any urinary issues or any that are sensitive to high calcium diets. Of course, probably giving one carrot top isn't going to be a big problem, but giving that consistently or in large abundance, you want to go ahead and avoid that. So you can share a little bit with your livestock, but if you have a whole bunch of carrot tops left, you can dehydrate these and you can use them in place of parsley. And I've done that before. They have a little bit of smell and flavor of carrot, which isn't a big problem if you like carrots. So you can totally do that with your carrot tops. An interesting thing about carrot tops is that in my research I found that there was a website, and I can't remember if it's called like World Carrot Museum or something like that. There's not a lot of information out there on carrot tops. But this particular website had some information and said that carrot tops are antiseptic and that they have diuretic properties. So you need to probably do more research on that, because this isn't definitely, hardcore research that I've gotten from any herbalists. So if you're interested in using carrot tops that way, you're going to want to do more research. But I just thought it was kind of fun information. And another fun piece of information is that Greek physician Pedanius Dioscorides had cataloged, like way back circa 40 to 90 AD, I believe. He cataloged like 600 different plants and their their properties, the plant species and their properties. And he said in his writings that people used to use the carrot leaves against cancerous tumors. So that's kind of an interesting piece of information. A couple other things you can do with your carrot tops is because of the antiseptic properties, it is said that people used to chew on these, and it was helpful in supporting a healthy mouth. So that's an interesting piece of information too. So I don't want to talk too much about that, but you know, just dropping that information so you can take a look around for more information on it, because I believe that plants, you know, all the plants that God has given us, they all have really great properties. We just need to dig and find out what those are. Don't you agree? So yeah, carrot tops, that's what you can do with those. So let's move on to tomatoes. Tomatoes are easy to use, don't you think so? I mean, salads, of course. I love them sliced in a grilled cheese sandwich. That's pretty much my favorite way to eat tomatoes besides on salad. I use a lot of tomatoes every year to can. And, you know, I just pretty much just can them whole and blend them or strain them or whatever it is I'm going to use them for. You know, I just can up a whole bunch, and then just, you know, right out of the jar, I'll decide what I'm going to do with it. I've done tomato sauce before, which is really, really great, but it takes a little bit too long. And I don't know if you have been watching my videos or reading my blog, you know that I use the word lazy about myself, but really what it is I like to get things done really fast. I like the easiest and simplest way to do things. And then if I can them all up the same, I can do it all really quick. And then I can decide what I want to do with it once I'm getting ready to use a jar. And so it gives me a little more control. So, but the things you can do with them are you can water bath can them whole. You can dice them or have them, whatever shape you want them to be. You can make them into tomato sauce. You can make them into salsa. You can ferment the green tomatoes if you have to like do a quick, you know, haul of green tomatoes because a frost is coming up or whatever. You can ferment those and make pickles out of them. You can dehydrate them and put them on your shelf, you know, as a backup to your canned items, or if you prefer just, you know, if that's how you like to use them. But inevitably you end up with the cores and with pieces and parts left over, and the skins as well. And so I like to dehydrate the skins. And so this is what that looks like. I like to dehydrate them to be really brittle, and then blend them up and use them in tomato powder, which can be made into sauce, juice, pastes, and, you know, to flavor your soups. And so that's really a really good way to use all of your tomato harvest. And you know what? Here's the thing for me is that when I'm growing stuff outside, I don't want to throw any of that away. And I actually am a little bit stingy about throwing stuff into the compost pile too, unless, you know, it's just I don't have time to deal with it or whatever. So I'm really happy to have found that particular idea. And I found this from Shelley Wells at Dehydrating Made Easy. She taught me how to do this and how to use the tomato powder. So I'm really happy to know that. And we've been using it ever since last year when I took the course. So let's move on to mint. Okay, so mint. When I was living at our old house, I planted mint in my garden, and I only had probably about, I don't know, maybe 200 square feet of garden, and I thought I was going to, you know, do a really cool thing and plant a little bit of herbs in my herb garden, right? So I planted mint in there, unbeknownst to me that mint grows, you know, underground in rhizomes and then comes up around absolutely everything in your garden. And so so I've been using mint for a long time and trying to find ways to use mint. And I've used it in a syrup before. I've used it in teas and tea blends. I've dehydrated it. I've used it in the hutch tray at, you know, when I was trying to keep flies away from my rabbits. I've used it for a lot of different things. I dehydrate it and just keep it on the shelf. And you know, I need to tell you that I did not learn my lesson last time. So now I have a ton of mint again in my garden. And I don't know why I did that to myself again, but thankfully I like mint and I have a lot of uses for it. And so usually what I'll do is I'll hang it in bunches upside down up here. This is where my wine rack is. And so often if you walked into my kitchen, you would see, you know, bunches of herbs in my wine rack drying there. And so there's that. And once they're all dry, I just take the leaves off, go ahead and jar them up. And then I used to, because I don't have rabbits anymore, but what I used to do is I used to take the stems, and you can do this with other herbs as long as they're safe for rabbits too. You can bundle them up with a cotton yarn, and you can give them to the rabbits for chewing because they need that sort of thing. So that's a really good use for that. And so I think that's probably about it. Next week, we're going to be talking about growing another herb. I'm not sure which one. Do you guys have suggestions? Because if there's a specific one that you guys wanted to learn about, I know a bunch of you wanted to learn about lemongrass a while ago. You got to let me know so I can make sure to study about that and pull together all that information. Otherwise, I'll let you know by the end of this week what that event is going to be. And I guess that's pretty much all it. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. I know this was a really short one, but you know, some of them are going to be short and some of them are going to be really long. So anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot for being here. Bye.